This is about Europe. This is the continent we're moving to. First of all, physical features for Europe include different bodies of water and land. The lined four seas include the Baltic, North Mediterranean, and Black Sea. Only a few of these countries are actually landlocked, which means they don't border the ocean or sea. Look at the map of Europe. The landmass itself, all of Europe, is a very large peninsula with smaller peninsulas branching off from it. It also includes a lot of islands when you go further south. The northern European plain was a large lowland stretching across the northern mainland from Belarus to Ukraine, and westward from France to the British Isles. This is made of land and isolated hills. Throughout Europe, the mountains and highlands in the northern and southern border of the plains, it is the highest range as the Alpine mountain system, with its highest peak being Mount Blanc at 15,771 feet. Passes in Europe are areas between mountains that allow for movement of water, goods, and people, and those waterways are European rivers that are easily navigable, like the Rhine and Danube, which are two of the largest rivers and famous for their transportation. Resources throughout Europe, making it a leader in the world economy, include coal, petroleum and natural gas, iron ore, lumber, granite, marble, and clay. All of these have come from past times of Europe and today make up over half of the world's amount of economy, including that in coal. It is the most productive area for natural gas and petroleum. And a lot of times their government actually taxes gasoline a lot more heavily than we do. Different countries have different resources, including when you look to marble, clay, granite, lumber, and iron ore. Environmental effects of Europe are actually quite intense because there are so many people that have lived there for so long in a very small, considerably small space. Industrial growth actually promotes health risks. Because of population from that growth, we can see car exhaust, smoke from burning oil and coal in the air, and other issues with carbon dioxide. These include health risks like breathing problems, eye irritation, and lung disease. Environmental issues like air pollution and acid rain and water pollution also happen because of this. The only possible solutions to these issues are the idea of limiting the amount of chemicals that are used or released into the air, adding lime to lakes, which stops the effect of acid rain in water going into the environment, and cleaning out areas of waste and sewage from water, or simply recycling. A good example of this is Chernobyl, where we had nuclear disaster and a lot of pollution. Culture of this group of people is very rich in ethnic mixes because these people are kind of a whole group of separate people. An ethnic group are people who share ancestry, language, and customs, but as we'll see throughout Europe, they are quite different. The ethnic mix has positives and negatives throughout this history, including migrations, wars, and the changing of boundaries for countries, and you'll see that as we go through smaller areas of Europe. Due to population changes, many countries are developed differently. Despite this, many European nations have a sense of unity. They all come together because of human rights or democracy, governments, or caring for its citizens. Many European countries are welfare states, and it's a place where the government is the main provider for sick, needy, and retired people. A lot of the times this comes through their healthcare means. Population and government information for Europe are things like that welfare state and how many people from Asia, Africa, and Latin America have actually settled in Europe. They haven't stayed in those particular areas, they have moved or migrated. These people come for jobs, housing, and social services that are better than the area they were from. Despite the increase in immigration, the population actually is decreasing because of things like a low fertility rate, which produces less children. Europe is expected to have a 10% fewer people by 2050, so just in 30 years. This also means fewer workers for the economy, so the economy is going to go down in productivity. With better healthcare, this also means that people live longer, thus increasing taxes for younger people because of Social Security and health that they have to pay for. Looking at Europe, their religion and ethnicity can be seen as a main religion of Christianity, though there are small bits and pieces that branch off in other directions. Europeans nowadays have an attitude towards religion that is mostly secular or non-religious. It means they don't really identify with one church in particular. Regardless, most Europeans do identify their moral teachings off of Roman Catholic religion, which is a very dominant presence even into the past of Europe. Other religions include Judaism, Islam, and Protestant religions. Here's a good example of the different types of religion. The bright green is that of Roman Catholic. The orange, the really big orange ones, are Lutheran. The purple is Islam, and the bright pink is a Calvinist. History in Europe actually stems a lot from ancient Greece and Rome. With the beginnings of ancient Greeks and Romans about 2,500 years ago, you can see that a lot of people settled near the areas of the Mediterranean Sea and then later spread throughout Europe. In Greece, you can see that this has many mountains and islands and seas, keeping those communities independent on themselves and not stretching throughout the entire country. Early civilizations relied on farming and fishing for survival near the Aegean Sea. They became wealthy for trade, and territories later developed into city-states or a city that is surrounding its area. They also created the first democracy in Athens. The Iliad and the Odyssey writing are some of the most lyric artworks that documented war victory and mythology. Another good city is Sparta, which is an example of military pride, and the root of our current alphabet coming from Greece. Rome began as a monarchy in 509 BC and later created a republic where people choose their leaders, like we see nowadays. Eventually, it became the Roman Empire as its power expanded and was ruled by Augustus at one point. During his rule, it was called the Pax Romana, a time of peace, artistic growth, and expanding trade, which lasted over 200 years. Germanic groups called the Byzantine Empire later took down the Roman Empire in AD of 476. When we look to more history of the Middle Ages, this is where the religion focuses on two types of different groups, Roman Catholic Church and Eastern Orthodox Church. Roman Catholic Church is centered around the Pope at the Vatican City, and they spread Roman culture and law to the Germanic groups living in the Western and Central Europe. The Eastern Orthodox Church is from the Byzantine Empire, and it's passed in Eastern Orthodoxy and Greek or Roman culture to Slavic groups, so more towards the southern part of Europe. German King Charlemagne united much of Western Europe until his death. This means that the government of feudalism became the way for Europe, basically saying that kings and queens are the nobles and the ones in charge. Here's a good example of medieval life and the triangle or pyramid of who was in charge. More on the history of Europe includes the Crusades, which is a time where feudalism united Europe and the religion of Islam spread throughout Southwest Asia to Northern Africa, as well as parts of Europe. Founded in 600 AD by Arab named Muhammad, it gained control of Palestine, which is where Christians considered this a holy ground. Nobles later gathered volunteers to fight and win back that holy land. This religious war is called the Crusades and is actually only partly successful. Despite this actually creating more ways for people to have trade, travel, and steadily between Europe Muslim lands. So even though it was a bad war, it created many new purposes. The Renaissance during European history included good things and bad things. This is a time where they were recovering from the bubonic plague, or Black Death, which killed about a third of the population, and an interest in art and literature happened at the same time. The Renaissance, or rebirth, thrived in Italian cities such as Florence, Rome, and Venice. These Italian cities had large amounts of wealth due to trade and supported art, as well as literature scholars living there. Poets, sculptors, and painters such as Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci were in this time era, and a type of humanism developed, which is a way of thinking that importance to the individual and human society for Renaissance. So not just the rulers, but the people themselves. Another idea here for history is the Reformation and Enlightenment time. During Reformation, we can see Martin Luther acting as a way to try and correct the church practices. He nailed a list of 95 statements against the practice of selling indulgences against the church door on how the Catholic Church was actually corrupt. He began what was known as Protestantism. During the Enlightenment time, or the Scientific Revolution, this happens after the Renaissance and when the Europeans began to use science to explain what happened in the world. Copernicus showed that the sun was the center of the universe and not the earth being the center. Galileo had new knowledge that came to observation and measuring, and John Locke, which was the person who came up with the idea of life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, which we include in the Declaration of Independence. And last, Napoleon helped to aid in French Revolution and then took over as actual emperor as well. We'll look at the northern countries, which are 10 of them. First of all, the United Kingdom. This has countries such as England and Great Britain, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. It's called the United Kingdom or Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. The southern part of the Irish island is a completely independent country. The physical geography of this area has the English Channel and Thames River, fertile plains in the southern and eastern area, and rough highlands and mountains in the north and west part. Economics for this area created the first industrial revolution over in Europe, and the service industries such as banking and healthcare, as well as oil and natural gas, are leading energy sources. The government is a constitutional monarchy, which means a king or queen serves as the head of state, but elected officials actively run that government. Their parliament democracy includes a prime minister, which is similar to the US and Congress. Ireland has physical geography of an interior of islands as a lowland plain, or coasts are off the rocky cliffs. This island has a regular rainfall and the land stays green year-round despite the temperature. Ireland also has large amounts of peat, which are plants that are partly decayed in water. And this is in areas of bogs, which are low, swampy lands, and they're usually dried and burned for fuel. The economy of Ireland mainly focuses on clothing, farming, pharmaceuticals, and computer equipment. Farming itself is the idea of raising sheep, cattle, growing vegetables such as large sugar beets, and potatoes. In fact, in the 1800s, Ireland mainly grew potatoes until it destroyed those crops in the 1840s. More than 1 million people died and 1 million left for the US at the same time. Manufacturing in Ireland is productivity, and it has increased and economically massive in the last couple of years because they make goods in a specific amount of time. Ireland also has a very large culture in the heritage of Celts who settled on the islands hundreds of years ago. This means their language is Irish, Gaelic, and English. The big cultural aspect is folk dancing and literature. Their main religion is Catholic. Ireland actually has a dispute over the land from 1960s to the 1990s. The Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland disagree on religions, and this caused violence. This happened on and off until actually 2007, when both political parties met and agreed to end this fight. They decided to share power in a new regional government. Scandinavia, which is 5 different countries, has a physical geography of northern Atlantic current winds and gives southern and western areas mild climate. This is an area of the Arctic Circle, which can be very cold. The size of this land means that physical landscape has a lot of different ways of being seen. In Denmark, there are lowland plains. In Sweden and Finland, you can see that there are mountains, as well as Norway and Sweden. Forests and lakes are all over this same area, as well as a barren tundra, which can be very cold. Iceland has geysers, or hot springs, and Norway has fjords, which is a narrow inlet of the sea carved by glaciers. Essentially, also, the economy for this area is based off of agriculture, manufacturing, and service industries. Scandinavians produce their own food because of limited farming, and fishing is also a large part of their industry. Norway itself relies on oil and natural gas from the Northern Sea. Iceland has a geothermal energy for tectonic plates under their country. Finland uses hydroelectric power. Sweden is a combination of nuclear power and oil, as well as iron ore, and Denmark is a key in world trade for areas of Copenhagen, or Denmark capital, near the Baltic Sea.